Well, folks, good evening to you one and all, and welcome to Season 3, Round number 2, Sports and DT Masters. Today we're coming to you from Charlotte Revel. Why do they call it Revel? Because it's a combination of the road and the oval circuit together. And we're going to be out there on a Radical SR8. It's a completely different type of vehicle to what the guys normally ride with. 17 turns that's going to be used in the section that they are going to be on there tonight. Coming to you live once again, the voice of West Bromwich Motorsport, Frankie Yennis. Frankie, good evening to you.
Good evening, Gary, and good evening, everybody at home.
And then also joining us, our regular commentator throughout the whole of the Western Cape, and FC Nivert. FC, good evening to you.
Good evening, Gary. Good evening, Frankie. And lovely to be here with the Sports and GT Master Series iRacing Championship again.
Well, I think this is going to be a very, very interesting round coming up today. There we go, Sports and GT Master Series, Radicals from Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's 18 degrees Celsius and it's clear skies, but as you can see, it's just about sunset, Frankie.
Yep, sunset there with a 3 km/h wind as we come to you from Charlotte Motor Speedway in North Carolina. And a big thanks to Second Gear Productions, Gary Fleming, and everybody else involved. The Radical is a car that we are going to be using today, and I know that at the WPMC at Killarney, there is one Radical that races there in the hands of Josh Broom. He will not be out here tonight, obviously not, but there were 24 drivers who went out for qualifying, or should I say for practice early on, and they're all out there in the Radicals, and the top 5 is in the house. Johan Fourie is there, Willem Botha's there, Francois Hubert is there, Luke Lucchesi and Graham Stephen. Those 5 are all there, as we, as per normal, start off with Dr. Mike Verrier in the 8-call 24/7 Radical, the father of the iRacing Master Series and the 6-hour Enduro Series, the doctor from the Western Cape, from Neisler, out there in his 8-call 24/7 Radical, car number 33, busy making his way around Charlotte Motor Speedway in the infill section. So all the drivers will be out on their out lap. They originally only, or was supposed to only have a 5-minute qualifying, but the drivers thought, man, that's a little bit touch and go. So the doc said he would make it 10 minutes, so we'll have to look and see if it's going to be 5 or will it be that 10-minute session.
Oh, well, if we look at the timing screen at the top on your top left-hand side, it has been marked for 10 minutes. So it looks like we are going the 10-minute route there, Frankie. Of course, the racing that will be taking place tonight will be watched very, very carefully by our clerk of the course, because interesting information that we received: if you make 10 errors or 10 mistakes on circuit with track limits and stuff like that, you do get a drive-through penalty. But if you do it 20 times, it's adios, amigo.
Yep, you will get disqualified. So yes, as FC said, it does show top right, we've done 3 minutes out of 10 minutes, so the doc has come true to his word, and he's made it a 10-minute qualifying session. So right now it's the Monster Energy Radical of Johan Fourie that's done a 1:12.534 with Francois Hubert 0.1 of a second, a tenth of a second behind him. Willem Botha is in that 3rd position. We'd expect those 3 there, but where is Graham Stephen? He sits there in P7 at this point in time with 16 drivers that's done a lap, and we still wait to see what Luke Lucchesi is going to do. We are on with the Radical of Francois Hubert, that so far is the 2nd quickest man out there.
Just in there behind him, Willem Botha, and Willem Botha's just been bumped down as Johan Engelbrecht, the sponsor of our previous 6-hour event, decides to get in an early quick lap there. So Willem Botha now 1.1 seconds off Francois Hubert on a 1:11. Just 1600ths of a second Johan Fourie behind that. Johan Engelbrecht 8 tenths, 9 tenths back Graham Stevens. So once again we're looking for Johan Verriek, Graham Stephen one-on-one. This time add Johan Engelbrecht to it. And then Peter van der Spade, Captain Piet, comes into the top 5, and he is 93 hundredths off that 1 minute 11.694 benchmark of Francois Joubert.
Yeah, well, keep in mind that after practice we saw Luke Lucchese's name on there as well, and he hasn't done a time lap yet. It'll be interesting to see what Luke can do. Luke, one of our top 3 finishers at the last race, so we'll have to wait and see where he slots in. But Willem Botha, the man's currently sitting there in 6th position with a time there of 1 minute 12.955. Behind him in 7th so far, Andre Steenkamp. He's about 1.8 seconds off the fastest lap time so far. Timothy Stanton is the man in 8th position so far in the number 12 car with Raymond Duggan. Oh, Herman Lazarus just pops onto the board there behind Stanton and moves Raymond Duggan down a position to 10th.
Raymond Duggan there, frankly, in that 10th position, but Johan Verriek's just turned the board upside down. 1 minute 11.3. That means it's only Francois Joubert that's within 14 hundredths of a second of him. Everybody, they on out a second outside of that, including Graham Stephen and Johan Engelbrecht.
Yeah, that's Raymond Duggan out there with the Hot Wheels Radical. And Raymond did a 1:13.758, and he finds himself in that 10th position. Peter Joubert in P11. He's just out of the top 10. He's Peter Joubert, and he's 2.6 seconds behind Johan Verriek. He's Peter Joubert, as we still watch Raymond Duggan in P10. Joubert is in that 11th position. Peter Joubert, as we keep an eye still on Duggan making his way around. Here comes Peter Joubert in the Marlboro Radical, making his way around, and he's done a best of a 1:13.943. Keeps him in the top dozen in P11. And there is Dr. Mike Vera, April 24/7, a 1:14.003 is his best, and his last lap was a 1:19.173 FC. That puts the Doc there in P12 and 2.8 seconds behind Johan Verriek.
Yeah, that is Dr. Mike Verrier in that 13th position. Behind him, Sandro Bakari in that 14th position, 2.9 seconds off the fastest lap time, with Wayne Camage in 15th, Robbie Teens in 16th, and Andrew Colbert bringing in that 17th position.
But as we are unwinding from not being on the leaderboard at all of a sudden Luke Lucchese finds himself the second quickest man, 0.2 of a second behind Johan Verriek, as we watch the Hot Wheels Radical of 11th place man Raymond Duggan. His best and his last lap was a 1:13.7. Now it goes to a 1:13.538. So he's getting quicker and quicker out there. Is Duggan. Willem Botha, that's the other Hot Wheels machine out there. 0.7 of a second behind Johan Verriek, finding himself in that 4th position with a best and a last of 1:11.947.
So Engelbrecht is still out on circuit, one of the few people that's still out on circuit. Most of the guys just go out, get one warm-up lap, do 2 flyers, and when the computer cuts them off and says you've got enough time to play, it's time for you to go back into the pits. So Johan Verriek, Luke Lucchese, and Francois Joubert are all off circuit. Willem Botha is still out there. Willem has just stopped, so that is where he's going to be on the second row of the grid. Johan Engelbrecht, well, can he get up just a little bit higher? He finds himself on the 4th row of the grid, and no, an error there by Johan, so that takes him out of it. And the Steenkamp should be going across the start-finish line around about. That's the last of the S's. As he comes out, that's the S, the chicane in the back straight. As he works his way around now, there's one more slight left, a right, and a left. As there's one more chicane, there it is. Oh, he comes in there very hot. Andre Steenkamp pushing, comes across the line, not getting any quicker, 1.67. So one more minute to go as Andre Steenkamp dumps it into the wall. Sandra Bakari, the last man, still out on circuit. In fact, Sandra and Leonardo are the last 2 that's out on circuit now. Here he comes towards the last chicane, or the second and the last chicane on the circuit. And let's see how he can get through there. Can he bump himself up into the top 10? 2.697 seconds off the fastest lap time out there. Blindingly quick by Anferi and Luc Easy and Francois Hubert. Here he comes. Sorry, that was the first chicane. Here's the second chicane. Sliding it through there heavily. Guys are pushing very, very hard. Sandro Bacari not being able to better that lap time of his. So I think he probably went out late. There's only 15 seconds still to go. Leonardo and Sandro Bacari, the last two that are out on the circuit. And with 5 seconds to go, that's pretty much where they are going to be standing.
So, qualifying session over, and look at that first 5. We knew that they were going to be there. Johan Fourie, Luc Lucchese, Graham, Stephen is the championship points, yes, after one round. Remember that Johan made 0 errors at Long Beach, California last week. Luc Lucchese finishing in that second place, and he was unlucky to get there. But here we go. Here's your grid. Johan Fourie, Luc Lucchese, Francois Hubert, Willem Botha, and Graham Stephen. It's going to be about that top 5 FC, rounded off by Peter van der Spey. That's your first 3 rows.
Yeah, first 3 rows are starting on row number 4. Johan Engelbrecht on that 7th position with Timothy Stanton on P8. Andre Steenkamp pulling it off in P position number 9 with Raymond Duggan, Herman Lazarus, and Sandro Bacari rounding up your top 12.
Then Peter Hubert and Mike Verrier, and Gary, then Wayne Camage and Andrew Calvert in P15 and 16.
Yep, a little bit further back, Johannes van der Merwe, Robbie Teens, the comeback kid. Well, you'll be able to do a comeback from their 17th position. You'll see the format that they are lined up in there on the circuit. There they go, that's how they line off. They'll pull off one by one. So just behind that, Colin Plitt, Gerald Maget, Willem Pienaar, Ian Riddle, Eugene Manouk, and Renier Hubert. That's how they line up there on the circuit. Let's bring up our initial information once again. There we go. So off the line goes the pace vehicle. One by one, the Radical SR8s will come out on circuit. So 45 minutes is going to be 50% fuel load that they will be starting with. And in the briefing, it was said 1, maybe 2 pit stops. So knowing Mike, they've done a bit of a test, and it's going to be very, very marginal to get from 1 pit stop. Always interesting to have that kind of scenario. So let's see how we go from here. A stadium that seats 89,000 people over the 1963.66 kilometers long road start.
Right, here we go. 45 minutes is about to commence here at Charlotte Motor Speedway in North Carolina. All these radicals in there, one behind each other. That's going to be hell on wheels. Johan Fourie, Luc Lucchese, Francois Hubert, Willem Botha, Graham Stephen. The other guys are going to have to go as hard as they can to catch them. We know how good Johan is. We know how super quick Luc Lucchese is. He was very unlucky not to win last week's one. But this is now. That is in the history books. Lucchese will not want to make those mistakes again. Johan will know that if Luke keeps it all nice and neat and tidy, he's going to be all over him like a rash. These guys must not get it wrong in the opening lap. Otherwise, it's going to end in chaos. The safety vehicle, the pickup truck, will be moving off the circuit pretty soon. Then it will be 45 minutes at Charlotte Motor Speedway. 10 errors, you get a drive-through. 20 errors, you are disqualified. 1 pit stop, yes, maybe even more. We'll have to see as the safety vehicle leads them around the banked oval of Charlotte Motor Speedway. Pretty soon, FC, these 24 drivers will be doing 45 minutes of high-speed action out there, all in the Radical sports car.
Yeah, high-speed action awaiting us here from the Charlotte Motor Speedway, or the Charlotte Revel, as Gary mentioned earlier. This is the combination of the road and oval circuits at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and we are looking forward to some high-speed action here from the guys. Johan Fourie, the man on the charge, leading the pack there from pole position with Luc Lucchese right on his tail, Francois Hubert, Willem Botha and Graham Stephen. Those are going to be the guys to catch, but anything can happen with Peter van der Spey, Johan Engelbrecht, Timothy Stanton and Andre Steenkamp, all of them in there hoping for an outside chance should one of the top runners get it wrong.
Yeah, and Duggan is also in that group as well, so that's a top 10. Lazarus and Bakari, he's in P11 and 12, but look at Luke Lequez, he is stalking Johan Ferry as the pickup truck, the safety vehicle, moves into pit lane. Through that chicane they go, the right-left chicane. Then they'll have the start line. Ferry picks up the pace. We go green, green, green at Charlotte Motor Speedway as the hammers get dropped and 45 minutes of action. Back into the infield again, it's Ferry, followed by Lucchesi, Hubert, Botha and Steven. Those five are already pulling away from Peter van der Spey and the rest of the field. If all goes according to plan, they should be your top five. But the only thing certain in this damn game is that nothing is certain, and we're only 31 seconds into this one. It's Ferry from Lucchesi, from Hubert, Botha and Steven. That's the first five that's getting away there from Van der Spey, that's in that sixth position. Back onto the banked section of Charlotte Motor Speedway, and it's Ferry from Lucchesi leading the rest of the field around that banked part of the circuit, FC.
Well, Johan Ferry planned that start perfectly, as you could see the way he pulled away from the rest of the pack on that. But Mike Verrier is being chased there by Wayne Camich, Andrew Colbert, Johannes van der Merwe, Robbie Teens, all of them in there. But just look at that gap, Frankie, that's opened up between Ferry and Lucchesi already, as Johan timed that perfectly in the Monster Radical.
Well, Ferry will know. You mustn't mess around with that man behind him, Luke Lucchesi. They all know that Hubert, Botha and Steven will be lightly picked. That is Graham Steven. He's in the Gulf color, the Gulf oil machine that sits in there just behind Willem Botha. He's right on that back wing of Willem Botha. Under the Bank of America bridge they go into that right-hander as he's hounding that back end of Botha, who in turn is climbing all over the back of Francois Hubert as they make their way through that intersection. That's the Fruka, that brake disc glowing there on the Graham Stephen Radical. 1:22.028 was his last lap, but that was the opening lap, so it will be pretty slow right there, the opening lap, so it'll get a whole lot quicker as they carry on. Look at Graham, he's using the embankment, then he dives onto the inside, which is very illegal in this. They do it in the ovals as well, and now he's right on the case there of Willem Botha.
Willem Botha in a bit of trouble there as Graham Stephen is right on his case there. Graham Stephen made up a lot of space with that moving down onto that lower section, which is strange. You would think he'd be able to carry more speed on the embankment part of the circuit, but he's closed up right to the back there of Botha, and if Botha puts one wheel wrong in this, he could lose that position to Graham Stephen.
We're right in board there with Graham Stephen. You see him sawing away at that steering wheel, going after Willem Botha. In turn has got Francois Hubert right there with him. He's got his gun sight set there on third place man Francois Hubert as Willem Botha, and the two drivers disappearing down the road. Is Lucchesi in second, Ferry in first, and Botha got it wrong. Botha got it slightly wrong, FC, and that's brought Graham Stephen right onto that back wing.
Yeah, it's right on between these two guys. Willem Botha and Graham Stephen are going to be battling it out. That's what happened there with Willem Botha running very, very wide, and that's brought Stephen right up onto the tail end of that Radical. Riding back on board with Graham Stephen now, and back to your race leader in the Monster Radical. That is Johan Ferry leading the pack. Just look at that gap between himself and him. We know how quick Luke Lucchesi can be, but he seems to be dropping back from Ferry.
Yeah, he's 2.1 seconds behind Johan Ferry at this point in time. You don't just come and beat this old horse around any racetrack. There goes Lucchesi. There comes Francois Hubert. First, second and third. They're getting slightly away there from Graham Stephen. That is making his way around. And what has happened to Botha? Botha's lost ground, FC. He finds himself there in that seventh position.
Well, Willem Botha has lost a couple of positions there as he's lost out to Peter van der Spey, Johan Engelbrecht. Three positions. So let's try and see what happened. That is Andrew Colbert coming down straight into, losing the tail and collecting a couple of the drivers as they go into that corner. So a couple of the guys getting caught out, and that is where some of them got caught out.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if that was a back marker that they picked up and that Willem Botha got caught out with that, because Johan Engelbrecht was lucky. That really colourful car of Engelbrecht, he was lucky to get through that lot as well as Captain Pete. However, no issues for this man. The Monster Energy Radical of Johan Fourie that sits out there in P1. And it's amazing how these circuit racers tend to look for the flatter sections. They don't want to be on the banked oval. They don't like it up there, even though they know it works for them. Here comes Lucchesi. Here comes Joubert. He's 8/10 of a second behind Lucchesi. He's Francois Joubert in that Honda-powered Radical as he makes his way into the left-hander, and he's right in there behind Lucchesi, closing up onto that back bumper of second-place man Luke Lucchesi.
Yeah, right on the back bumper of Lucchesi is front row Joubert. Graham Stephen finds himself in that fourth position. Just look how hot those brakes get. Very hard braking zone going through that internal section of the Charlotte International Motor Speedway as they try their utmost best to catch Lucchesi in that second position. But Frankie, just picking up there, how hard Lucchesi is trying to stay in touch with Johan Fourie. Already 3 off-track transgressions.
Got 3 errors there by Luke and nothing for Johan Fourie as we ride aboard there. We're looking at the replay at Willem-Botha, trying to make a comeback there on Engelbrecht and losing ground there at Johan Engelbrecht. So he's going to have to come through. He finds himself just there 9/10 of a second behind Engelbrecht. That's in P6.
I think that little corner and that piece of straight is going to be the downfall for Willem-Botha throughout the evening, as it's the second time he's run wide out of that corner. But Johan Engelbrecht in the multicolored car sitting there in that 6th position ahead of Botha, with Timothy Stanton there behind Botha and Andre Steenkamp finding himself in the position.
Johan Engelbrecht's car is very much a mixture of the Benetton colours on that car. It's very loud colours. Can you get that flame coming out the back of that Engelbrecht Radical? Oh, is that Botha? Did Botha get it wrong, or was it one of the back markers? No, it wasn't. Botha's still there. He's still a second behind him.
That looks like it was Peter van der Spey that got it wrong there.
Correct. He was just ahead of Engelbrecht.
Yeah. Just got it completely wrong coming out of that corner. Engelbrecht just misses him, but Botha unfortunately clipped him, and that could have caused some damage.
That Martini car in a lot of trouble. Timothy Stanton. This is a replay looking at what happened here to Tim coming through the right-hander and losing the tail end at exactly the same spot and clipping that wall there. So Timothy Stanton having a problem. A replay at Wayne Camage. Wayne Camage trying to go around the outside. He's been lapped there actually by Fourie and Lucchesi and by Joubert, and Camage getting it all wrong there.
I picked up the same thing happening during practice as well. The guy's doing well for a little bit, and then all of a sudden the cars just start careening off the circuit. And Gavin just mentioned to me now, with the way that the circuit is laid out, with the fast oval section, the moment you get off the oval onto the infield, the road circuit, the tires tend to overheat, and that's when the drivers start to lose control of the cars.
Lose a touch of traction there, but FC, other than that, I could be wrong. I mean, I've never driven one of these cars. I know that Gary and Gavin obviously had a go at these cars, but they can verify what I'm saying now. Maybe right or maybe wrong, but they do look as if they are pretty nervous motor cars. And if you get it wrong, I mean, Gaza, you probably had a go at one of them. From the eyesight and from what I saw in the practice, they tend to be very nervous race cars.
Well, the power to weight ratio is quite phenomenal with this type of car. Because when you look whatsoever, time on the gas just a little bit too hard, the tail end steps out on the wheel, and that's what you see on numerous occasions with these cars. You see the tail end coming around, and that is because you come on the gas just a little bit too hard, and the tail end steps out on the wheel. So you can see a lot of that kind of situation. We have of Johan Engelbrecht, who was trying to have a go. Climbed on the brakes, climbed back on the gas, and that's
Well, Lucchesi is now only 2/10 of a second behind Johan Fourie. Is he catching Johan because he's a lot quicker? Did Johan make a mistake? That we will find out. Gary will look at the replays and see. I just think that Lucchesi might have just wound the wick up a bit. We will know shortly, but definitely referee will know that Lucchese is there. FC. Oh, look at this in turn. Francois Hubert is all over the back of Lucchese as well. So, man, this one's hotting up with almost 10 minutes done.
Yeah, so back marker coming into play there, and we saw Luke Lucchese rock on that tail end of Johan Verree's car, and all of a sudden he was back down to 1.7 seconds behind him, and there was a back marker that came into play. But just look at how they're backing out there. Francois Hubert is constantly gaining and falling back on Lucchese there, under a second at this stage of the fight, but Lucchese back to just 0.2 of a second behind Johan Verree.
Well, he's putting the pressure on Johan Verree, no doubt about it. 0.2, 0.3, but he's losing downforce. He's so close to losing from the roll bar. That's what he sees right now. And, well, I tell you what, to have a go at Johan Verree on this one, you've got to really know your thing, because Johan Verree was blinding the qualifiers.
First, second and third, right behind the back marker. It's as simple as that. You've got to clear that back marker. That back marker's got plenty of huge on his car. Here comes the Honda-powered Alpha Tauri sponsored Radical of third place man, Francois Hubert. There is nothing between Verree, Lucchese and Hubert. 0.7 of a second behind Verree is Lucchese, and 0.8 of a second behind Lucchese is Hubert. So these three guys with 11 minutes done are crowding each other as they make their way through the Charlotte Motor Speedway infield.
Lots of hard battles out there. Johan Verree's car looking back at the guys chasing. That's Luke Lucchese in the shot, and right behind him you can see the car of Francois Hubert in that third position. Hubert having dropped it just over a second there behind Lucchese, but Lucchese still keeping Verree very, very honest there in that second position. Let's see if Johan Verree can keep up that speed. Ooh, a hard contact there. Ian Riddle having made contact there with one of the Hot Wheels cars. That was Willem Botha again. This is not his night tonight.
No, that car is heavily trashed. Look at that back wing. That car looks slightly skew. And Willem Botha, one of the odds-on favourite, and it's not working out for him. As he actually started at FC. He clipped that sausage curb and then just went into the side of the two car, and it was just chaos from there.
Let's have a look at this incident. What happened was with Timothy Stanton. Guys did say before Timothy Stanton close up around the circuit floor with this motor car. It looks like the back wing head of that car has already got damage on it. And the moment you come on the bus, it just steps the tail out. 3 quick repairs around these vehicles. Guys were expecting to use up all of those repairs.
Well, Wayne Camage finding out the hard way, and we have a new leader. Hubert has gone into P1. Lucchese's in P2. Verree's dropped down to P3. Did I see, and I do speak under correction, damage on the wing of Johan Verree's car? Gavin is nodding his head. Gavin Fleming sits there, one of our producers. He's nodding his head. What happened out there to Johan Verree? It seemed rather crinkle cut to me, and I wasn't sure if I'd seen right. And then Gavin gave me the thumbs up FC to say yes, there is damage on the wing of Verree, who's made 2 errors out there.
Oh, we'll have to wait for the replay on that, but you can see the damage on that wing. That wing is standing at a very funny angle with a lot of damage on the front as well. So I have a feeling what happened, Johan Verree made a mistake and connected himself in the barriers. Lucchese had to take evasive action, and that brought, let's see what happened here. That's Andrew Colbert in the 1-2-3 car. He got it all wrong again out of that corner, down into that little straightaway where everybody gets caught out. And Gavin also mentioned something interesting here, and I noticed that since the beginning we started racing or practicing qualifying with sunset, and then as the race continues it's getting darker. That means track temperature is also dropping.
Now, tire temperature goes down, track temperature goes down, everything goes down in the night, and this one is in the dark. There is your new leader. That is Francois Hubert. Oh, there's somebody getting it wrong just ahead of the mono car there of second place man, Luke Lucchese. Lucchese just avoided that. He's now 2.1 seconds behind Francois Hubert. And here comes Johan Fourie. He's only 7/10 of a second behind Luke Lucchese. So damage or not, he's not going to give up. But look at Graham Stevens. Graham Stevens got his missile lock set there, FC, on third place man Fourie. He's only 5/10 of a second behind Johan Fourie.
Yeah, and Graham Stevens got everything to gain here in this situation, because look at this, Frankie. Luke Lucchese already on 9 transgressions. Remember, at 10, he's going to get a drive-through penalty. So Graham Stevens has got a very good chance to get himself up into second position at this stage of the fight, and not having to worry about Luke Lucchese catching him too quickly after that.
Now, Lucchese must be careful. If you get 10 X's, which is 10 errors, you get a drive-through penalty, so he cannot make any mistakes. 15 minutes done, he can't afford to make another mistake, and then there still is the routine pit stop as well. So Luke Lucchese needs to be very, very careful. Johan Fourier's only made 2 errors, Francois Hubert has made 1, and third place man Graham Stevens, that we're looking at there in the Gulf oil coloured Radical, has made 0 errors so far.
0 errors, and a car that still looks pretty much in one piece. He's made it past Johan Fourie. You can really see Johan Fourie starting to struggle. He's right on the pace there, but it's just not enough to pull away from the guys like we were used to seeing from the beginning of the race.
Well, I'll tell you what, that Radical of Fourie must be handling like a dog right now. He must be battling with that thing. But Francois Hubert, the man up front, he's 2.2 seconds ahead of Lucchese. He's got no issues with that Radical of his. Neither has Lucchese. The only black cloud that's hanging over Lucchese's head is those 9 errors. He cannot afford to make any more with Graham Stevens in that third position. He's got that P3 away there from Johan Fourie. Johan, however, has been fighting back with a motor car that must be absolutely pathetic to handle. But as we know, Johan, he's not going to give up. The problem is, if he goes and pits to sort it out now, with 16, almost 17 minutes done, plus the pit stop that must come, he's going to drop further down the field. So what I think Johan is doing is stick it out there for as long as possible, turn it into one pit stop and fix the car, and then go for gold and see if he can't get a top 3 towards the end. And Gary, that's just my guess.
Well, they could say 50% fuel load to start off with, 1, and he might be simply 2 stops. In other words, him and Sandra have done the homework, and they've made it kind of marginal, and looks like if you go in a lap too early, you will not make it to the end. Manfredi knows 2 pit stops can't be good. You'd rather use a second or 2, and only have the 1 pit stop as opposed to losing 8 seconds behind that. Let's have a look a little bit further down. Peter van Spanje on that off 17 seconds that is off the back of that front group of 4. That's still beatable if he goes 1 pit stop in the front, guys go less than that. Just behind him, Sandy Bukari once again. Sandy Bukari having a pretty good outing. And missing newcomer Raymond Duggan once again finds himself neatly inside of the top 10.
That is Duggan, and then Engelbrecht and Verrier. Whoa, there's problems out there between Engelbrecht. I think, is that a back marker that he tagged?
It was Eugene Manouk
that was a back marker
that he came to up to lap, and unfortunately making contact with the tail end of Eugene. And that is what caused. Just a light contact and a second contact there, in fact. So the pressure is there's no doubt about it. It looks like we heard Wayne Coons has had a spot of trouble as well. And it's coming up to the first of the 2 chicanes. Oh, he came in there very hot, but he almost had it in Oliver Corey. A little bit further down the field. It looks like coming into that chicane is a difficult area. There's 2 chicanes. That's the second of the 2 chicanes. That's just before Star finish line, and Johannes van der Merwe is running into a bit of a problem as well. More than likely, FC find it's in the same spot.
Yeah, definitely in the same spot. Just completely locking up the brakes going into that chicane, and then just planting it in the wall. Francois Hubert leading the race there. in first position, but Luke Lucchesi is in the pit lane. 11 transgressions. He's got his drive-through penalty.
Yeah, that is it. Come through for a drive-through, Mr. Lucchesi, and all the way through, and then you can drive out on the outside of, or should I say, the exit of pit lane as he makes his way through. Is he going to box as well? Yes. No, he's not. He just drove past the safety truck, so Lucchesi's back out on track again.
Roll bar, no, there he stands, he's in the pits, so he's doing a drive-through and then also doing the pit stop at the same time. That's what it looks like coming out of the pit lane. I'm also hearing that.
Yeah, you're not really allowed to.
Drive-through is a straight drive-through. A pit stop is a straight pit stop unless he did the drive-through on the previous lane. Because if you look at the bit of the space, 28 seconds, so maybe he didn't drive through the previous lap. That is possible.
He didn't, because Graham Stephen was right on his case at that stage of the fight. But Francois Hubert, it looked like he was in the pits as well, but no, he's still in the lead there with Graham Stephen in that second position. And Peter van der Spey finding himself in that third spot.
Well, that's what I thought, because there was a red car that went out that I saw move to the left, and I thought, well, that must be Lucchesi, but meantime Lucchesi had dived in for a pit stop as well, so I'm not too sure how that one works out. Either way, it makes no difference. That man is still out there in P1 with one error to his name only. Race leader Francois Hubert, and he is 6.1 seconds ahead of Graham Stephen, that finds himself in that second position. My word, Captain Peter van der Spey, Captain Pete, finds himself there in that third position, as Peter Hubert, that's in P9, makes his way through, so he's in the top 10, and he's only 9/10 of a second behind 8th place man Johan Free. There you see the two of them going into that right-hander.
Riding on board with Peter Hubert in 9th position, and his best lap so far for the day, 1 minute 13.281. His last lap was a 1:14.393, as the guys are really struggling with those brakes and tires on this very demanding circuit. On paper, the circuit looks to be very, very easy, but you can see in these radicals, they are not. It's not as easy as Andre Steenkamp had a bit of a moment in his radical on the Charlotte International Motor Speedway.
Very nervous little race cars, these very quick, very light little race cars, awesome race cars to drive, but clearly they are very nervous cars. That's a very smashed up motor car. Is that Leonardo Baccari's car? I'm just taking a guess. And oh, there's trouble all over the place. It's a replay at Lucchesi. Luke Lucchesi in the MoMA sponsored radical. Is he going to get it all wrong? Right up on the top of the embankment on that third line. That's the replay of Lucchesi. We'll have look see what went wrong there. From this point of view, now he goes on. Oh, puts the wheels on the dirt, puts the wheels on the grass and creams one of the cars in front of him, and oh, gets clipped there by, I think it might be Baccari, and there goes Fourie. Johan Fourie just making the move there on Luke Lucchesi. And has Fourie been in the pits? Because
he's been in the pits. The car's fixed up.
The car's repaired, yes.
So yeah, the guys are out there. Francois Hubert leading them in the 304 Alpha Tauri sponsored car. Peter Hubert sitting there in 7th position, riding on board with him. Francois Hubert, the man leading them in the Alpha Tauri Honda, the 304 car, with Graham Stephen about 5 seconds off the pace from him, and Peter van der Spey sitting there in that 3rd position, right on their tails.
Well, that's the Gulf Oil number 4 radical of 2nd place man Graham Stephen, 5.5 seconds behind race leader Francois Hubert. He's rather comfortable as Ryan Engelbrecht makes his way. Is that Engelbrecht in the pits there? Yes, it is. There goes Luke Lucchesi. He's making his way down pit lane once again. And what looked so promising for Lucchesi in the beginning is busy falling down by the wayside as Peter Hubert makes his way around the oval.
doesn't cost him because it's flashing on and off pretty heavily, and Speedway is right in there behind the white area. So the two of them get any closer to one another, you could end up with a situation where they end up going off the pit. They can't see one another.
Graham Stephen at one stage just now dived into the pits, but already making his way out of the pit area, and he's currently sitting in that second position behind front row Hubert. Johan Foury's managed to work his way up into that third spot, but let's have a look here what happened to Raymond Duggan. Raymond Duggan, getting caught there behind the back marker and then getting tagged by Lucchesi. So, a lot of the guys having a lot of bad luck out there today.
Yeah, Raymond Duggan is the other Hot Wheels car. Willem Botha is one of them, and Duggan is the other one. The AlphaTauri Honda of race leader Radical Francois Hubert putting a lap there on one of the slower cars, saying, get out of my way, I need to go through. It looks like it's Johan Engelbrecht that he's putting a lap on there as Hubert works that machine into the infield section. Remember that Francois did not do last week's race. Another pit stop here for Luke Lucchesi. Man,
this is his drive-through. Yeah, that's his drive-through.
Okay, so then he was allowed to take that drive-through whenever he wanted to?
Yeah.
You probably find there's a window of three or four laps, Gavin, saying 3 laps, a window of 3 laps from the time that you get to that point, taking it now, but that takes one of his right out of it. And who's in second place?
Captain Peter van der Spey. Captain Pete is in there, and Lucas once again in the top 5. Dr. Mike Verrier last weekend at Long Beach, California, the Doc finished in 5th, and Robbie Teens finished that one in 4th position, and once again the Doc finds himself there in that top 5.
Very in behind Graham Stephen, and the battle royal is going to commence.
Yeah, remember, Francois Hubert, to my mind, hasn't done any pit stops yet. Both Peter van der Spey, Graham Stephen and Johan Foury have all been in the pits already, so this could be a chance for those guys to catch up. But just look at that gap from Hubert to van der Spey, 35 seconds, with a further 10 seconds to Graham Stephen. It's still a lot to play for out here in this 45-minute race at the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
There you can see that 15 line for he came in to sort the wing out and do a fuel stop. Probably going to find he might be on a 2-stopper. Lap number 20 was Graham Stevens, so Francois Hubert and Peter van der Spey, and you can see there's 34 seconds between first and second, another 10 seconds back to Graham Stevens. That's 44 seconds. How much do you need for a pit stop? Must be around about 30-35.
Well, Gary, just have a look at this battle that's about to ensue here as Johan Foury is racing a car that's been fixed up properly, and he's right on the tail there of Graham Stephen in that Golf oil car, and we're about to see a clash here between the titans of Graham Stephen and Johan Foury.
You can see how that Radical is stepping out of line there of Graham Stephen, which cements what I said earlier on. Light motor cars, nervous motor cars, you climb on the loud pedal too soon, the tail starts to wag all over the place, and here comes Johan Foury. Johan Foury wants to make his way through there, and Johan Foury, as you got him, Johan Foury on the move. Johan Foury, that car's been fully repaired, and now Johan is on a charge, and he wants that first place back again. He's made the move there on Stephen, and Foury moves up into that 3rd position.
It does, however, look like Foury has got a bit of damage on the left front of that car again, so hopefully nothing too serious, but let's watch Johan Foury charge up the field.
Well, if you look at the positions gained at this stage with Peter van der Spey having not made a pit stop, 5 positions up, and then 1 position down, 1 was in front of the group. Graham Stevens moved up to 9-3 there. Wow, what a drive. The Bears are in town. Look at that. Hubert's up there. Francois Hubert's up there as well.
Well, FC Foury might have made that move on Stephen, but he's not dropping Graham Stephen, that's for sure. Graham Stephen only 0.4 of a second behind him. You're not going to just drive away from Graham Stephen of the famous Stephen Racing family. as Francois Hubert makes his way
Yeah.
into the pit area.
Francois Hubert has dove into the pits from the P1 slot with Peter van der Spey in that second position, Johan Fourie third.
Coming in as
Let's
well.
see, Peter van der Spey also diving into the pits.
Which means the next man out on circuit is that man there, Johan Fourie. He's made one stop, but he was one of the first guys to go into the pits, and he will probably, I'm going to guess, maybe even call it speculation, he's going to have to do the second stop.
Well, we're going to have to see how he's going to play this one out. Is he going to be light on the loud pedal and then go for it towards the end? What is his use of fuel? Remember, some racing drivers use less fuel than others by the way they race at motorcar. I can give driver A a full tank and driver B a full tank and tell them to do X amount of laps. And the one drive in the same car, and the one driver will use less fuel than others. So, will Fourie have to stop again? Probably, but we'll have to see how it goes. With 30 minutes done, 15 minutes left. It's going to be interesting stuff as we watch Andre Steenkamp, that's now in that 6th position. Now, my word, is 35 seconds behind 5th place man Peter van der Spey.
So Peter Hubert shows up on screen as not having been into the pits yet. He's one of very few people that haven't been in. I believe that is a computer glitch. I believe that he has been into the pits. I don't believe on 50% fuel anybody could make 51 minutes into a 45-minute race where there is a possibility of a second stop. So going from the front end of the field, this man is having a brilliant day today. Francois Hubert once again right up front with the Honda. The car is looking good, it's sounding good. That radical SR8 is doing everything that he wants it to do. 9.7 seconds further back, this man having the possibility of having a different strategy to everybody else out there. His biggest rival is 12 seconds further back. There he is. In fact, 3 seconds further back, and that's total gap that we have on the board right now. And then next up, once again, Peter van der Spey finds himself in the top 5.
Into the top 5, Peter van der Spey with Andre Steenkamp, man who finds himself there in P5. And he's about 7 seconds behind Van der Spey, with Johan Engelbrecht sitting there in 6th position. With Willem Botha that's managed to fight his way back to 7th place after having some horrible luck at the opening stages of this race. And where's Luke Lucchesi finding himself in 9th place? But Frankie, look at that, already 16 transgressions for mistakes.
Yeah, he just made the move on Dr. Mike. The doctors opened the door and said, come on Luke, just come through, you're a lot faster than what I am. So Luke finds himself in P8. He's made the move there on Mike Vera that sits down in that 9th position. So basically Johan Fourie's main rival after one race event that he's done is Luke Lucchesi. Luke is out the top 3, out the top 5. He sits there in P8. Fourie currently there in that 2nd place, and that won't bother him too much. Remember that Francois Hubert missed the race event last week, Wednesday, so Francois must still score points. Johan has got a full bag of points, 20 points for winning the opening heat, but yet once a race winner, you always want to go out there and win. And Fourie will want to beat the man that won season number 2, and that is Francois Hubert, as we keep an eye there on Timothy Stanton that sits in that 9th position, 3.8 seconds behind Veria, that's in P8.
Oh, Frankie, if you look at the championship side of things, the biggest winner today here would definitely have to be Graham Stephen, because I think with his current position, and yeah, there we go. So currently Johan Fourie leading them, Luke Lucchesi on 2nd, Graham Stephen will move up into 2nd position because he's got himself a nice big haul of points again with that 3rd place that he's got so far.
Now Robbie T is currently in that 4th position on the championship points, and Robbie finds himself in 10th position, 4 seconds behind the man you're looking at now, Timothy Stanton. So the man that got the top 5 in P4 last week and who was driver of the day, Robbie Teen, sitting there in that 10th position, the DHL sponsored Radical, and lovely another top 10 there for Robbie Teens.
Robbie.
You see, Luke Lukezi is now on 17 as we ride along there with Andre Steenkamp. He's had 2 incidents earlier on, and that's costing that taking just outside of the top 10.
Yeah, Luke Lucchesi, very quick, very fast, but a bit of a wild child is Lucchesi. 17 errors, and look at the rest of the people out there. I think the maximum is 6, if I'm not mistaken. That's by Willem Botha. And Luke already on 17. Luke very, very fast, but he needs to calm it down a bit. He's way, way, way over the top.
You might find FC that he's actually cutting track limits somewhere and not realizing, surely you've got to realize eventually that it could be a problem for you. Obviously going down onto the inside of the bank oval of Charlotte International Speedway doesn't count against you, because we've seen numerous different cars doing that and not having points deducted. As you see there, cutting the line, and does it go down to the bottom again? Yep, sitting just there on the inside of that racing line, but he's on the right side of the yellow line, therefore not costing him.
I think you'll find it's got somewhere to do with one of the chicanes or one of the hard corners where he's cutting a bit and placing the wheels off the racing circuit.
Remember, Gary was and Gavin, he was rubbing and using the walls last weekend at Long Beach, California, was Luke Lucchesi. And but yeah, this is some tracks work for you, some don't. As Herman Lastas, it's a replay of Herman getting that car just slightly out of line there and picking it up neatly as he keeps on going.
So back to the front end of the field, it's all about Francois Joubert, only 1 point against him. 8 seconds already in that second place, who, if anybody is going to have to go in for a second pit stop, it's going to be Johan Verlie. So in a bit of a precarious situation now is Johan Verlie. Graham Stevens 7 seconds further back. You'll be hoping that Johan's going to go back in the game. He's got no penalty points against him whatsoever. A notable gap back to Peter van der Spaan. He is still going through the infield section before he goes out into the main oval. And then 14 seconds further back, still within the top 5, and only 2 penalty points against him is Johan Engelbrecht. But that man in there behind him, Willem Botha, would definitely like to take that position away. 37 minutes in, so only 8 minutes still to go for him to have an opportunity. 17 corners, and well, when you get into the top 5, it's going to be.
Well, FC, the question is, the time beginning to run out, 37 minutes and 35 seconds done out of 45. Does Fourie have to hit the pit lane once again? But right now we keep an eye on...
It looks like he is in the pit.
Well, it shows out there. So
Could
I
be
think
connection issues, or he has dived into the pits.
Yeah, well, right now what we're looking at is Johan Engelbrecht and Willem Botha. And Willem Botha gets the Hot Wheels cars right out of shape, right out of line. Lucchesi will dive through there on Botha. Lucchesi will go up to P6. Botha will drop down to P7. And Botha was having a go at the United Colors of Benetton Radical of Johan Engelbrecht before he made that mistake and spun that 3-car around.
Look at the last lap times out there. Francois Joubert flying 1:11.823. Interesting thing now is if you look at that top 5, I think that the real deal is going to end up being Luke Lucchesi. Oh, Johan Engelbrecht has got a red next to his name. That means Johan Engelbrecht must have had an incident. Oh, big spin, off onto the grass, bang, and he bends the back wing as well.
So, Johan Engelbrecht, we were just singing his praises. That will bring Botha past him again. Yes, it does. Willem Botha goes back into P6 and Engelbrecht drops down there into that 7th position with damage on the Engelbrecht car. Yeah, that wing, that back end of that Benetton colored Radical has got some damage as FC he works his way into pit road.
Well, Frankie, this is news that Luke Lucchesi would not want with just under 6 minutes to go. He's got 19 penalty points. One more, and it's a disqualification from this race.
One more, and it's game, set, and match for Lucchese. Thanks for coming. Have a nice day. So, we don't want that. Luke don't want that. We want to have Luke Lucchese in this one, even if he doesn't make a top 3 or whatever the case may be. Points are vitally important. So, Luke, you need to just nurse it out there and just take whatever points you can get as we look at the Engelbrecht car that made its way into pit lane with that damage on the rear wing.
Yeah, definitely trying to fix that one up. Riding on board with Lucchese. Let's have a look and see what happened. Oh, bang! Into that back marker goes Luke Lucchese. And I think that was what gave him number 19.
I think it was Eugene Luke. Oh, Eugene Luke knocked the wall, hit the wall a second time, hit the corner of the barrier, and was just catapulted onto the circuit. So a series of incidents, one leading into the other, which created that. One more replay, and it's Andre Steenkamp climbing the curbstones very heavily on the gas. And well, look at the lovely sign right in Charlotte Motor Speedway. 29,000 seats there is in the stadium. Luke Lucchese is in the pits. Luke Lucchese is in the pits. This is going to cost him dearly. Is that he's got 19 points against him. That looks like it's going to be a full stop. Yep, that's to fix the motor car. So that's going to take him right out of it. Francois Joubert, it's all going.
Yeah, going quite fine for Francois, going quite fine for Johan Fourie as well. They had issues early on and a lot of damage to that Monster Energy Radical of his. He's 6.5 seconds there behind Joubert in that second position. 13 seconds behind him in third position is Graham Stephen. Peter van der Spy sits in P4 but only one error, and he's 27 seconds behind Graham Stephen in the Martini Racing Radical, finding himself there in that fourth position. And FCE's 19 seconds ahead of Willem Botha in P5 that's making his way down pit road.
Yeah, we were just saying that Willem Botha was up into P5, but he dove into the pits, and that now brings Mike Verrier in the 8-call 24/7 car into play, as with Timothy Stanton, all of them in there, just 0.2 seconds between Verrier and Stanton at this stage of the fight, as they're going to chase down the inside section of the circuit to try and catch the likes of Peter van der Spy.
Well, that's the only real dice out there in this point in time, is the one there between Verrier and Stanton. As there they go into the infill section. Here comes Timothy Stanton all over the back of Mike Verrier, 3/10 of a second behind the Doc. The Doc's going to have to hold his line. If he looks in his mirrors, you'll see that green and black machine right in there with him as they fight it out for that last position in the top 5.
Riding on board there with Timothy Stanton as he's right on the case of Mike Verrier, as Johan Engelbrecht seems to have had another bit of an off somewhere. And Mike Verrier gets it wrong, and then Timothy Stanton gets it all wrong as they go through that S section, as they get caught by a whole gaggle of cars.
I'll tell you what, Timothy Stanton making his way back onto track again. 4 errors there by Timothy Stanton, and he's now 5.3 seconds behind Mike Verrier. So that's exactly what the Doc needed and not what Timothy needed. He's still in that 6th position, but he's far, far behind Mike that's there in P5.
Robbie Teen sitting in P number 7 with just under 4 seconds to catch Stanton. Behind him, Willem Botha has dropped to about 4 seconds behind him in 8th, with Johan Engelbrecht down in 9th position and Raymond Duggan rounding out your top 10.
That is the other Hot Wheels car there of Duggan. Botha sits in P8, that's the one Hot Wheels car, and then Duggan in P10, that's the other Hot Wheels car that you're looking at there now. As we have a replay at Peter Joubert, and yeah, he's got connection issues with the Marlboro car, and that's the reason why you probably hit the wall, you see, because if you get connection issues, you can't see the track in front of you, you're not quite sure where you are, and that's probably the reason why he ended up in the wall.
But we are in our final minute of racing with Francois Joubert leading the pack in the AlphaTauri Honda Radical, as he puts a lap there on one of the Castrol guys. That is Francois Hubert leading the pack with about a 6-second lead between himself and Johan Fourie, who's managed to just gone to 5.8 seconds as Fourie seems to be catching him, but too little, too late.
Well, Johan Fourie in that second place. He'll take this second place after having issues out there, and he is 18 seconds ahead of Graham Stephen. Now, Graham Stephen will definitely move up into second in the championship point. Peter van der Spy, what a drive by Captain Pete in the Martini Racing Radical. The 45 minutes is done, so where's Francois Hubert? There he comes. He'll be making his way to the checkered flag as he works his way through the intersection and now onto the banked oval of Charlotte Motor Speedway, or should I say Charlotte International Motor Speedway. There will be one more infield section waiting for him. There he goes now, and this should be the run to the checkered flag, and yes it is. Victory goes to Francois Hubert, and second place Johan Fourie in the Monster Energy Radical, and well done. Here comes Graham Stephen in the Gulf Oil Colors car. FC, he'll finish in third position, 20 seconds behind Johan Fourie.
Yeah, Graham Stephen brings it home in that third position with Peter van der Spy. That's done a respectable job to move himself up into fourth position. Surprisingly, two of the guys that have made some of the fewest errors. Graham Stephen, no errors, and Peter van der Spy just one. With Mike Verrier bringing home the fifth position, rounding out your top five.
Well, that's a top five. Mike Verrier will be in that fifth position in the 8-call 24/7 cars. We'll still look there at Peter van der Spy making his way towards the checkered flag in the Martini Racing outfit. He crosses the finish line now as he mows into somebody directly after the finish line, but the guys have had lots of fun. Captain Pete, well done, finishing there in fourth, with Mike Verrier finishing in fifth position. That is your top five.
Keep in mind the points, this is round number 2. So we're on Johan Fourie on 20, Luke on 19, Graham on 18, Robbie Teens on 17. That was the points before this race. Let's see how that's going to affect them. We'll wait for the last of the cars to finish off their race, that the results will become available to us. There's still two more people that's out there, Gerald Mouget and Peter Hubert. They're coming through to finish up. There's Gerald Mouget. Oh, badly damaged car. How he's going to get to the line with that one, I don't know. But let's have a look at the results for this race as soon as it becomes available to us.
Well, what a lovely race we had here at Charlotte International Motor Speedway. The guys having a bit of fun afterwards. The big news, FC, is that Luke Lucchesi finishes out of the points and doesn't score any points, and that is not exactly what Lucchesi wanted at this point in time. There's the results coming up. Francois Hubert, Johan Fourie and Graham Stephen. That is your podium.
Well, a very quick grouping up front. Peter van der Spy once again coming up in the top 5. Mike Verrier this season, one of his strongest seasons to date. Timothy Stanton also getting a couple of very strong results. The comeback kid, Robbie Teens, remember he was down way down the grid. We said here's an opportunity for him to do his trick. The comeback kid has done exactly that, right up to 7th position. Johan Engelbach, couple of problems, drops himself one lap down. Raymond Duggan, our new guy in the series, coming once again in the top 10. Herman Lazarus has done a decent job of today's racing and finds himself in the top third of the field.
Well, FC, my drive of the day, certainly, well, there's two of them. Peter van der Spy and Mike Verrier. Peter van der Spy finishing 4th, and 2 race events in a row, Mike Verrier finishing 5th overall.
Yeah, definitely a couple of good races for the two of them, and they definitely deserve that. But my nomination for driver of the day would have to go to Graham Stephen, and that's the man who now finds himself in second place in the championship.
Wow, that looks very interesting, I must say. I hope that those points are correct. We've tried to do a calculation for you pretty quickly. If that is the case, Johan Fourie from Graham Stephen, Peter van der Space, third overall. Luke Lucchesi, one of the quickest, but picking up a number of errors and drive-throughs in fourth. Mike Verrier overall there in that fifth position.
Yeah, Peter moving up 4 positions into that third place, and Luke dropping down 2. Lucky for Luke. Not that bad in the top 5. 46 for Van der Spey, only 39 for Lucchesi. So it could have been, guys, a whole lot worse for Luke Lucchesi. Luckily for him, it wasn't.
Well, that pretty much wraps it up. FC, thanks very much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me once again. It was fun as always, and I look forward to the next race here with you guys at the Sports and GT Masters iRacing Series.
Frankie, next week, Wednesday, round number 3, season number 3. We will find out in the next couple of days where that's going to be. And to find that Sports and GT Facebook page is where you're going to see the first time that it's going to be put up. Everybody will know where we're going to be going to next week.
Yeah, from myself, Frankie Yennis, enjoy the rest of the week, and we will see you at Killarney International Motor Raceway this coming weekend, where the Sports and GT guys will be doing the Onsa AC 100 kilos. It's 31 laps of Killarney, together with all the other classes. So Gary Fleming and myself, Frankie Yennis, will be there this weekend. Have a lekker week further, people, and bye-bye, everyone.
See you all Saturday from Killarney International. Live streaming will be going out, and you can pick it up on the Western Province Motor Club page. You also will pick it up on the iMuSat link. You'll pick it up on Second Year Talk Show, on Rage Productions, and the Western Province Commentator